Hello and welcome to Open Source Workplace. As you know, over the last few weeks, we've been bringing new guests to you where we do weekly 10-minute short videos. And today I'm very happy to introduce you to Eduardo Gomez. Eduardo is the co-founder of Emitwise, who's based in the UK. And what Emitwise does is help businesses track and reduce their carbon footprint. Eduardo, how are you doing, sir?
Doing very well, Steve. Thank you for having me. How are you?
No, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. No one ever asks me how I am doing. It's usually me having to ask other people. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're
So
we tend to be overly polite in the UK.
I know. And I'm originally from the UK, obviously. So that's why
Yeah,
I get a little bit of shock when people are.
yeah,
But anyway, good to see you. Good to see you're in good spirits.
yeah, definitely.
And you're well, you're staying healthy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm doing very well, healthy. I think we're, especially at Emitwise, we're trying to look at COVID-19 in the frame of an opportunity rather than, the massive disaster that it is, humanitarian disaster, because it is one, but it's not necessary to be looking at it in that frame every second of the day.
Right, right.
It's an opportunity to change and to readjust and to grow stronger as a company, and that's sort of how we're trying to look at it. I think that's how it's kind of translated into my personal life as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you saying that, and it is an opportunity, and sort of as we evaluate, right? When I say an opportunity, what I mean for Mother Earth, right? We look at the impact this has had on Mother Earth. We see the videos, we see the displays of, carbon footprint, the emissions being reduced to cities around the world. I mean, help me understand in perspective, what does that really mean when we think about the carbon footprint?
Sure. I mean, yeah, like you say, there's been a lot of publicity around that, the canals in Venice clearing up, the smog clearing up in the Himalayan region. There's been a lot of news and coverage around that. And when you look at the numbers, actually, we're global carbon emissions from fossil fuels are expected to go down by a staggering 5% this year. So it's had a significant impact, to be honest. But that's mostly due to the economic slowdown that's happened because of COVID-19, and the reduction in business travel, the disruption in supply chains, really down to the economic slowdown. Which is why we have to be careful, because it's going to come right back up if we don't address it. And now is the perfect time to address it, to be honest.
And so what things should we be addressing right now?
I mean, to be honest, there's a lot we can do. It depends if you're a government, it depends if you're a company. As a company, right now, there's transformations in how you can do business that you need to start preparing for. I mean, I think lots of companies out there have started to realize, that they've been able to, do quite successful business without having to fly around the world, every week or so. I think that's a really concrete example. So reduction in business travel, and transition towards video conferencing through things like Zoom, what we're doing right now. Imagine if I would have flown over all the way over the way to do this podcast. I mean, the amount of emissions that would have produced would be quite staggering. It's things like that. It's things like transitioning towards renewable energy. That's another massive source, typically, of companies' carbon footprints. And now is a good opportunity, with the changes in oil prices and fossil fuel prices. There's never been a better time to really stimulate the renewable energy sort of sector, and really make sure that it's well positioned so that that transition from fossil fuels towards more sustainable energy sources really strengthens over time.
No, thank you. I appreciate you sharing it and sort of giving me some education on that. So, I mean, obviously ESG is as an industry, as a compliance tool and so on and so forth, that a lot of industries, a lot of companies are really embarking on. And those organizations have seen a huge growth in profitability, but actually investor interest,
Yeah.
investing in them. Has that continued through this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so ESG sort of, and there was this nice graph on the Financial Times displaying, but actually ESG investments have shown a lot of resilience. Now, that's partly because obviously, the proportion of ESG investments as a whole of total investments is relatively small. But if you see the graph, I mean, it just keeps on going up, whereas most investments and the equities associated with those start to go down significantly, especially when, since COVID-19. So that's just to say that really companies that, have performed well in terms of their ESG performance, but also companies that are operating in the sustainability space, like Emitwise, for example, have proven to be quite resilient during this time, during COVID-19.
No, and it's great to see, and one of the challenges I think organizations find when they trying to comply with ESG is their ability to monitor and capture carbon footprint data, right? And obviously, what your tool does, it's a technology, and your technology allows organizations to grab that. What benefits are your clients seeing from using those tools to some of the more laborious ways to actually capture the data? What benefits are your clients seeing?
Yeah, I mean, so there's quite a few, and you said it quite well. I mean, what our tool, it's a software product, and essentially what we try to do is automate that E element of the ESG, really. Automate the tracking of companies' carbon footprint. Now, what that looks like in practice is that we automate a lot of the data collection and processing required to do carbon accounting. At a large organization that has a sustainability professional, they'll typically do this manually, or they'll hire a sustainability consultancy, or they'll just, do it through Excel spreadsheets. But the point is that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of these processes are really manual, and they can be automated. So that, I guess, that's one of the biggest benefits, the time and cost savings that Emitwise can offer in automating the data collection and data processing. And then it goes down to really, creating a competitive advantage for your company. Time and time again, companies like Unilever, for example, where they're sustainable living brands, have shown that, sustainable products and sustainable services, products that have lower carbon footprints perform significantly outperform products that don't. So really, by creating a more sustainable company, you can really create that competitive advantage and differentiate yourselves against competitors, especially now more that the decision makers and the consumers of the world will predominantly be people, millennials that increasingly care about the environment. Those are the sort of the two main ones. I mean, there's others, but.
And sort of picking up that sustainability element you just mentioned, and obviously the narrative today is returning to the office, right? What do we do? How do we get back to the office? Everyone wants to feel safe and secure in the office, and one of the downsides to that is where organization had taken a sustainability stance, implemented multi-use cupware and dishware and so on and so forth, are perhaps thinking about going back to single-use items. Any advice, guidance on that sort of approach or concerns from your perspective?
Well, that's it's obviously concerning going to, back to single-use plastics. I think, when it comes to carbon, really the two biggest sources of emissions for companies are business travel and their electricity or their utilities, really. So while, I would always encourage sustainable practices, particularly ones that really engage your employees, like recycling, like the multi-use, cutlery and equipment. I also think it's important to understand really how they compare sort of to the larger picture. So while things like employee commuting and recycling can really help engage employees and make them feel a part of that change, and that's very, very important. In fact, it's crucial. Some of the big easy wins that companies can do are things like simply switching towards, electricity providers that run on renewable energy, or reducing their business travel and, just doing Zoom conferences.
Got it. So that's basically, we should continue doing what we're doing and not return to the office, and the world will be a safer place.
No, definitely
I
not.
know that's not what you're saying. I'm just playing with you. I
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, offices are essential. I mean, the benefits that you can get from just, turning to someone and talking to them, and that sort of team environment that you can create within office is quite
Yeah.
unique. That's not to say that technological advancements down the line will change things quite drastically. I think, with the advancements of VR, but we could do a whole other discussion on that.
Yeah, no, and that's the beautiful thing about doing these short videos, right? We can touch on a few things today as this is our
Yeah,
introductory video, and
yeah.
then we can sort of see what the narrative is as weeks go past or weeks go on and really dig into the subjects. And especially what we really want to tap into is, what are the questions or problems people are bringing to you? And then how do we then inform the community of what those things are? What's that conversation that's taking place? And that's what's really what we want to dig into as we move forward. So look, Eduardo, look, I appreciate you giving us your time. I know you're a busy guy, you're a co-founder, you're trying to be mobile, nimble, and get things going. So like I appreciate you giving us the time today for Open Source Workplace.
No, of course. And thank you for having me, Steve. I look forward to coming back again.